I swear to God, you're gonna have to like get rid of him if he's allergic to shellfish. And
that just means that you can eat more shrimp, Aaron.
no, you're gonna have to get rid of that child.
You already eat all of the shrimp.
That is such bullshit. I don't eat all the shrimp. Welcome to $2 Bake, a podcast about baking. I'm your host, Aaron Varnum. Joining me today is, of course, Big Mike, Cookie, and Tolbert. We're going to be talking a little bit today about all the different ways to proof and then to knead the dough and you know, make a great starter for your sourdough.
It's all about creating those proteins and all the bonds.
You need them all to stick together and to make a very good sourdough bread.
Yeah.
Let me tell you guys that it is always a good thing to have a sourdough starter in your cupboard. Today on $2 Bake, we're also going to be talking about Harley Race, a phenomenal baker, and then we're going to be talking about 3 different matches where they make sourdough. And so to start off on $2 Bake, Big Mike, tell me a little bit about your vacation. I know we were not able to record last week, and it was a little tough last Sunday. I missed all 3 of you guys. Some of you more than others, and I got to see Tolbert like 3 times last week.
Yeah, we got a lot.
Nice. Anyways, so Mike
got invites to the house for dinner, which he did not.
Oh wow!
I don't know why I would not take something like that.
So vacation was great.
Okay, so where did you go, Mike?
So I went to Rangeley, Maine, which is in the Weld region of northwest Maine. My family's had a cottage there since 1876. It's called Moxie Ledge, and for the first 3 days, I kept calling it Moxley Ledge.
It would have been a lot cooler if it was Moxley Ledge.
Yeah, and just some like grizzled wrestler with a little Asian guy following him around.
Right. Shooter!
No, it was phenomenal, man. I climbed 2 mountains.
Death Rider Mountain, is that one of them?
No, Blueberry Mountain and Tumbledown. The cool thing...
Did you get drunk at the top of that one and actually
no, we did take a picture of a Waterline beer and got on Waterline's Instagram.
Oh,
yeah.
really? That was a cool little
Yeah.
shout
So
out.
the cool thing about Tumbledown is there's a fucking pond at near the summit of the mountain.
Did you fish it?
No.
Then I don't want to hear about that pond
Well,
unless you fished it.
It's actually, if you guys follow us on Twitter, it's the one I posted a picture of from the summit on our $2 steak Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah,
so we're the one where you were like, I didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything. I didn't watch any wrestling.
Yeah.
I followed a little bit of the G1. It was pretty refreshing, honestly.
It was like a vacation. It was a little podcast vacation.
It really was. It was good. We almost did not record an episode today, and I was like 70-30 that not to record today. And I did, and we were going to do another watch along, but we decided that maybe watch alongs are not the best.
We've heard from our fan, and he said he's not a big fan of the watch along.
He did.
Well, he's also not going to watch the match. He's driving back and forth when he listens to this.
Exactly.
He's also supposed to be here right now, and he's not here.
Yeah.
It is a very noticeable absence with Davenport
but
not here to
Even
laugh.
if he doesn't say anything, he just gives that stare from the corner, that cold stare.
Well, it's like a drunken stare. It's like
where he chugs a beer and.
Do you remember the episode where Homer was accused of sexual harassment for grabbing the Venus de Milo from that girl's butt?
Yeah.
And they edited that video on a hard copy of Mr. Simpson, and he's got that weird stare. That's the stare that Davenport gives us every single time he's in here. Mr. Simpson, no!
But I am glad we are recording because I did want to mention the anniversary dinner that I created in this cabin.
So I'm impressed, man. I was showing Katie. I'm like, damn, Mike's stepping up. I'm proud of you.
I
Man.
balled
I'm
out.
proud of you.
I made a lobster chowder with fresh Maine lobster. Chowder. I actually, the day before, I had to make the lobster stock.
Oh yeah.
From the shells and things. I made a sourdough bread, which completely winged it. We were talking earlier. You're supposed to. Baking is such a precise science. You have to like weigh it. I was just dumping shit in a bowl, man.
Yeah, you can't.
I've never made sourdough in my life. My cousin, who was there the week before, was like, "Hey, I have this starter. Do you want some?" I said, "Sure, might as well try it." And I put in regular flour, put in wheat flour to, add some of that protein, and just winged it. And then we also I made a blueberry cobbler from blueberries
really good,
that we
man.
picked on top of Blueberry Mountain.
Ah, nice.
All of this was almost completely derailed when the sink in the cabin started exploding on Wednesday afternoon.
Like an eruption, right?
It when I'm talking about, I emailed the family and I said there was a leak. It was spraying like you put your thumb over a fire hose.
Oh, shit.
And so I had to crawl under this cabin, again, 150-year-old cabin, try to find the cold water cutoff. Found it. That didn't cut off the pressure. Then I had to find the pump, cut the pump off, and then we had to go spend 3 hours at the hardware store trying to figure out how to fix this issue.
Howard Varnum would have been kind of proud of you, but I also don't think that he would be that proud that you spent 3 hours at the hardware
Well, the frustrating thing was it was all old hardware, and by hardware I mean it was PVC connectors and things going to the sink.
God.
And so we tried to do an easy fix, and I'm cranking this PVC thing, and it's probably 50 years old, and it's brittle, it breaks, and then we're really fucked. So we went back, we were trying to figure it all out, and we were thrown off because the PVC connector was glued onto the 1/2-inch water pipe, and we didn't realize that until we got back with all the. Dude, we were about to beer bong and Jimmy rig this thing with tube and clamps, and then we get back and we look at the pipe. We're like, oh, it is a 1/2-inch pipe, son of a bitch. So we just had to go back to the hardware store and figure it all out.
Well, anyways, back to our This Old Cabin episode.
$2 bacon now.
$2 bacon.
How did the bread
The
turn
hardware
out?
store.
The bread, the bread turned out for my first sourdough. I'm very happy with it. I pulled it out early because I was trying to get everything to you work in the food service industry. You want to get it all on the out when you're supposed to, right?
Oh yeah, man.
And so
it's all about your mise en place.
Yeah, I timed it up poorly, and I'm like, I pulled the bread out. I'm like, it's hot. Got a good crust on it. I'm knocking it. It sounds pretty good. I'm like, fuck it, let's go.
I'm just imagining him in an apron, thumping
Dude,
the
I was like, hey y'all, does this sound good?
chef's tables.
It's like when somebody's
it's
it's like when somebody's knocking a watermelon at the store, and you're like, you have no idea what you're listening for.
Yeah.
You're just doing it because everybody else did. So that's what I did, and it was a little raw in the middle, but it made for good dipping in the chowder.
How many times did you say "buckle up, boys" when you were making?
Up, boys. We're going in.
I think I said it twice, ironically, and then once on purpose.
Buckle up, boys. This is gonna be a bitch and sourdough.
This is about to activate.
Dude.
Wait, so now that we know that you can make something like that, can we have that for Monday night sometime, sir?
No, so the problem with sourdough is it takes 10 to 12 hours to rise.
And you ain't making a lobster stock on a school night, brother.
It's an hour prep.
Oh, shit.
It's an hour prep to activate the starter. Then it's 8 to 12 for it to rise. Then you have to beat it down, build up that gluten, and then wait another hour, and then you bake it an hour.
Did you proof it? How long did you proof it?
I didn't use a proofing oven. I just put it on the
I see.
stove.
I just know proofing from the show British.
Yeah. No,
British baking, bake off, whatever.
so
it's
the
called.
proofing, I didn't proof it because, one, there's no proofing oven, but then you don't want it
You
to
don't
get
have to
too
proof
hot.
sourdough, bro.
It's just got to go room temperature.
Cookie is so,
I'm so
lost.
fucking confused, dude.
So
I've
he's
never
like,
made
$2
bread
bake. I
in
thought we were gonna talk
my-
about
What the
smoking
fuck
weed.
is going on, man?
So when it does get colder, though, we should do a chowder and low country boil night, man.
I brought back about a gallon of lobster stock with me.
Holy shit.
Are you serious?
It's like a quart. Maybe it's a 2 quarts. I don't know. It's a lot. It's enough to make one more chowder.
All right. Well,
About to be eating good soon.
anyway, so other things that happened this week. We
ate breakfast and
we ate breakfast.
How
kinda
was
text each other,
breakfast,
like, what are
Aaron?
you doing?
Breakfast was I got the pita, which I've never had before, and I always talk shit about the pita. The
He
pita
loves
was
the pita.
very delicious.
Yeah.
It was very good. I ate so unhealthy the last 2 days. Dad and I installed a new storm door on
How'd
my
that
house.
go? We were discussing that over breakfast.
It was awful. For me, it was hilarious. First off, Dad and I went to Lowe's, and Dad needed something, right? He needed something to connect 2 PVC pipes, which is called a couplet if you're normal, right? Dad kept calling it a nipple, and he's like, "I just need a 2-inch nipple." And the whole time I'm giggling, right? And you could just see Dad getting progressively angrier and angrier. He's like, "What? I don't. Why are you giggling?" And I'm like, "Because you keep saying 2-inch nipple." He's like, "Well, that's what it is. It's a 2-inch nipple. I just need a nipple."
Are you like, that isn't wide
Yeah.
or long?
Is that one of those? I need about a saucepan. I need a quarter size nipple.
Oh, my God.
All right. Anyway, so back to $2 a steak, a professional wrestling podcast. I saw Travis last night. Travis again.
Daddy Travis.
Big Daddy T. It was good to see him. I saw him over at Satellite. He was drinking some beers with his wife, and a new guy from Newton Grove area who is a fan of $2 steak, and he follows us both on.
Wow! Shout out to the Newton Grove area. They
Yeah.
love some wrestling out there, boy.
Yeah, they do.
Where is Newton Grove?
Exactly.
It's a couple minutes away from Clinton.
Yeah.
Do you know where Clinton is?
I've heard of Clinton.
Yeah, I know where
once.
Clinton
We've
is.
pooped at the Clinton rest area.
We've driven through Newton Grove to go to rugby matches as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like Spivey's Corner, Newton Grove.
Spivey's Corner. They got the hollering contest. Yee, 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 yee.
Oh my god.
It's a special geographic region.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Approaching the ring from St. Louis, Missouri.
All right, so our first actual wrestling topic of the day, and it's kind of a sad topic, but you know what, man? We're going to be talking about Harley Race. A couple days ago, Harley
R.I.P.
Race passed away. Harley Race, one of the toughest men in professional wrestling, and it may not be our generation of professional wrestling, but he kind of paved the way for our generation of professional wrestling and the generation before that.
I.e. Triple H. Triple H got a lot of his stuff from Harley Race.
His knee drop, his
knee
knee
drop.
lift,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then, like, you kind of look, there's some connections. So Harley Race, born from a sharecropper. His parents were sharecroppers in Missouri. And this
That's where my
guy,
dad's from.
Really? He's from Missouri?
I got roots in Missouri. Roots.
Maybe you might be related to Harley Race.
I doubt it. No.
No, you're not. You're not tough enough, right? Don't give me that look. So Harley Race got into the wrestling business in the early '60s, kind of worked his way up, and then he came about in an era when the NWA kind of ruled the world, like of professional wrestling, and he won his first title against Dory Funk Jr., the brother of
Terry Funk.
Terry Funk, and lost that title, and then won it again against Terry. So we've got a Funk connection right there, right?
Funk
But
connection.
Harley Race came about a time when NWA ruled wrestling, which means that he was wrestling 6 times a week. He was defending that belt 6 times a week. He was traveling all over the world, driving
All the territories.
all the
Yeah.
territories. He was constantly on the road, constantly bumping, constantly just being a tough son of a bitch. They gave him the belt because he was a known shooter. He could defend it if somebody said, you know what, we're going to double cross this and we're going to take that belt off of him tonight. But they
Yeah,
knew
dude.
that they were safe with Harley Race.
But I know it was messed up back then. Like, I wish it was kind of like that now. Like, you just had to be a tough son of a bitch.
Yeah.
In case someone wanted to strip you of your belt. Like,
Oh, you know what's funny?
it's so crazy when you hear these stories, man.
I think that Brock Lesnar could probably
Be a shooter.
survive. Like he could be like a legit tough shooter
Yeah.
sort of guy.
Now explain shooting to me exactly.
Well, we're going to talk a lot
Okay.
about shooting
Okay,
later on in this match. So shooting, like you come from a legit background where like maybe you were like a tough street fighter. You
Yeah.
knew what you were doing when it came to combat.
Yeah.
A lot of shooters had a very varied background. Maybe you were a legit amateur wrestler in your day that you knew how to do that stuff.
Okay.
You knew how to stretch somebody if that needed to happen. If you put somebody in a hold and have them legitimately tap out.
Tap out. Okay. I gotcha.
But you kind of had to have that air of about you, that toughness, that reputation, so people could respect you.
Yeah.
And with that respect, they knew that like that guy's the champion. I'm not gonna try
I'm not even
anything.
try. I'm not even
Yeah,
thinking
so
about it.
because basically, what was it NWA, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from what little I've read, they were like this governing body of all the smaller regions,
Mm-hmm.
and so they would crown one guy the champion. That's why he would travel everywhere because he'd go to all the different regions,
territory,
and you didn't want some random territory schmuck trying to.
Strip you
Strip you
title.
of the
Trying to make a
title.
name for himself.
And so like they had to be able to finish it if something came up, and that was a thing that they had done for decades.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the National Wrestling Alliance kind of came into prominence in the late 40s and 50s. And with something like that, when you have a guy that's traveling everywhere, not only is he building prominence of your belt, but he's also building prominence of your local competitors. He could have a match against Kevin Von Erich one week.
Yeah.
Make Kevin Von Erich look like he's going to win, and then keep the belt on him. But it's building up your regional guys as well. Gotcha. He had a huge feud with Dusty Rhodes. He had a huge feud with Terry Funk, and these are people that kind of gained prominence from this style of booking and promoting. Anyways, so Harley Race. We're going to miss him. He was a big deal. We are going to actually have one of his matches here for Big Mike. Tell me about Harley Race against Junkyard Dog from WrestleMania 3.
All right, so it's WrestleMania 3. Loser must bow to the winner. They kind of prefaced it a little bit in the opening videos. Apparently they've had a back and forth. The Junkyard Dog has taken his robe and done all this sort of crazy weird stuff with it. This is my first Harley Race match. I will be honest and say that I didn't even know who he was.
Well, I mean, I kind of figured it.
I
watched
didn't.
some Vader matches though, because he managed
did?
Vader. He managed Vader for a long time.
But what I'm saying is, I just didn't. I never knew who he was, and I didn't know. I saw the tweet. I saw the tweet you did, and I was like, "Oh shit, this guy probably died."
He did. Did you watch that promo, by the way?
I did not. My internet was shitty this week.
He has an amazing promo. I failed to mention this. So Ric Flair won his first NWA Heavyweight Championship against Harley Race in a Flair for Gold Starrcade 1. And Harley Race had this great storyline where he put a bounty out on Ric Flair's head. And this promo's phenomenal, but he's like calling out all these wrestlers, and he's got this this briefcase full of money. And the most famous line is, "Somebody take the damn money. Somebody take Kabuki. Paul Jones. Somebody take the damn money."
Okay, yeah. So I'll have to watch that.
That is great.
So they do opening promos. Harley, right off the bat, is just this thick dude with a blonde jerry curl and a real raspy voice.
Oh, that's cigarettes.
That
is
was
all
say,
about cigarettes.
That was not like regional. That was just smoke.
Nicotine.
He's also with Great Moolah and Bobby Heenan. So that was
Bobby the Brain and Fabulous Moolah. We know
Great
about
Moolah,
Fabulous
Fabulous.
Moolah from the
Dark Side of the Ring.
I haven't seen that one, but I probably need to.
Well,
You need to watch that.
Maybe she wasn't as great
Fabulous.
of a fabulous person as we thought.
Junkyard Dog is another big dude. Got chains around his neck.
JYD.
He talks pretty well too.
So JYD,
good.
never a great worker in the ring. He was always a very charismatic style kind of wrestler.
Okay.
He sold out the Superdome left and right in the 1980s for Bill Watts' Mid-South professional wrestling. He was
They loved him.
They loved him.
He's just
Louisiana.
If Cookie was a little taller, he'd look almost like Junkyard.
Yeah.
Dog.
Just a little bit.
JYD, though, he was a big deal, and he had an unfortunate, I think he got in a car wreck on the way from his daughter's graduation in North Carolina and died.
Well, he's from Charlotte.
Well, he lived in Charlotte.
Lived in Charlotte,
yeah.
okay.
So, but he was a huge deal in Mid-South.
All right, well, that made me sad. So before the match, there's just this funny little spot where Harley and Moolah and Heenan are going to the ring, and Bob Uecker is at WrestleMania 3, and he had a line about Moolah, and he said, "The moon is full, and so am I." And then he was like, "I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna go try to find Moolah."
Oh god.
Euchre. There you
And
go.
yeah, and you're just like, and they kept referencing back to it, and I'm just like trying to imagine a horny Bob Uecker just looking around.
Going for Moolah, who was not the prettiest woman.
No. She was the champ though at the time. Harley's wearing a big purple robe, and he's got a crown. He's like, the shtick is he's the king. Is that before Lawler did it?
Yeah. Well, no. It's after Lawler did it, but King Harley Race won it, and they kind of gave him this shtick of being King Harley Race, King of the Ring sort of stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. And then Junkyard Dog's coming in, and he's got these like real tight high-waisted white tights. They got thump written on the butt.
Yep.
Yup.
I thought that was kind of funny. So immediately starts. The guys are kind of swinging at each other. It's obviously two big, thick brutes trying to go after it. They play into the fact that Heenan's ringside, and he's trying to distract Junkyard Dog right away. Dog hits a big headbutt. Crowd goes wild. Dog is clearly the babyface. Harley Race is clearly the heel. And they play back into the headbutt thing a little bit later, but Harley Race is selling like a motherfucker. Like,
Phenomenal.
amazing. He does these two huge bumps where he goes outside of the ring, like over the ropes, and it's not like he was slammed over the ropes. Like he just kind of like stumbled towards the ropes and then just went whoop over top. Gets legs full vertical, 10 on a dive on that. Like it was really good.
And the crowd ate it up.
I loved it. Visually, it was very good. Like they might not be doing the most fascinating movesets, but they're telling the story that you would expect them to have. Dog goes for this big scoop slam into an abdominal stretch. Clean little move. Harley Race counters it, goes for the headbutt, but that's Junkyard Dog's move. And you could see that Race absorbed more of that than he thought he was going to. And they play into it a little bit and said that he clearly hadn't scouted enough, and Heenan wasn't giving him good intel or whatever. So that was, again, interesting, adding a little psychology to the match. He goes for another big sell over the ring post. Heenan distracts the Junkyard Dog. Race gets a huge belly-to-belly suplex and gets the pin.
So did you notice one of my favorite moves of that match was Harley Race going for the falling headbutt outside the ring
and just
whiffs it. So
No, I think I missed that one.
So he just stands there, and his falling headbutt is very similar to what you would see from Daniel Bryan or Chris Benoit.
yeah.
And it's just like a falling thing, and you're dropping your head on somebody, but he's doing it outside of the ring from the ring apron. And he just falls flat on his face, like JYD, moves out of the way.
Yeah,
It's a pretty cool move.
It's a good spot.
But after he pins him, obviously the crowd was going after Junkyard Dog. Huge boos. So now Junkyard Dog has to bow to Harley Race. So Harley gets his robe and his crown. He's sitting in the chair. Junkyard Dog gives him just like that little curtsy, little nod. Race gets up to gloat. Junkyard Dog grabs the chair, hits him from behind. Announcers are. Is that Jesse Ventura?
So it was Jesse Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon.
Okay, so Jesse Ventura is clearly the heel.
Right.
And he was just so mad that Junkyard Dog would do that kind of attack and all that sort of stuff. Crowd goes wild when he does it. Eventually he just puts on Harley Race's robe and walks out to Race's music.
There you go. So maybe it wasn't like, peak Harley Race. Harley Race at this point was probably in the twilight of his career. Yep. And right before he kind of transitioned more into a managerial role, which we've seen before where he managed like Vader. Vader was his main client when he was a manager role. He got into a really bad car wreck in the early 90s, and it kind of ended his in-ring career. But this a lot of people maybe aren't as satisfied with this part of his career when he was King Harley Race, but I still think he was wrestling in front of 100,000 people at WrestleMania 3.
That was 3 was
that's the one in Detroit, the Silverdome. Yeah, that was the Andre.
That was the Andre one where he gets slammed.
Yeah.
But did you see how many people were in that arena during that match? Like, you look up, and there's shots where you could see all the way at the tippy top. It is just
packed full
sea of people.
I don't think those numbers were inflated by the WWE at the
they
time.
may have been a little bit, but you look at it.
There was a lot of people.
Visually, a very arresting sort of visual.
And it was a good solid 8-minute match. It told a good story.
Told a story, and that's all Mike really wants.
That's all I want
is his story.
Especially when I don't know any background on anybody.
I mean, he told us his story earlier. Mike is what we call a storyteller. Now, tell us the story of your lack of social media influence this week.
All right, yeah. So I had very spotty DSL internet.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't upload many photos. So I left. I pretty much just assumed Aaron was going to get something done.
I did a little bit.
He did a little bit. We got a couple likes. For the month of August, we were -1 Twitter follower. We're down to 81.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Who did we lose?
I don't know. Tolbert on Instagram.
I haven't done anything.
We're up to 69. I actually, correct, Tolbert.
Instagram this week.
No posts since July 22nd for Tolbert.
Ooh, 22nd.
Tolbert, that was my
Wow.
birthday.
Yeah, we were partying.
Yeah, that was the picture of Aaron holding the.
I've posted
Birthday
something,
cake?
haven't I?
No, you haven't.
Oh,
No.
damn. Well,
Was that
sorry,
the
folks.
fuck you, Aaron
I'm gonna
anxiety
be
party?
Happy anxiety party.
Yeah. Don't worry, I will be bombarding everyone's feed.
Yeah,
No, he
so
won't.
we
No,
need,
he won't.
we need to be a little more active. The month of July was just really hectic for all of us. So if you do listen to us and you don't follow us on Twitter or Instagram, give us a shout out and follow us at
August is gonna be hectic,
$2 $steak_.
Now, I think August is going to be a little bit better. September is going to be the shit show that we're going to have to do a lot of finagling.
Why?
Well, I mean, it's the beginning of rugby season, one. But it's also, I've got 2 weddings. Somebody's got a wedding that month.
Jesus.
Yep.
My birthday's on the 29th.
I've got back to
There
back.
you go.
That's the
I've got
Sunday.
back to back weddings.
I'll be in
It's
Charlotte.
My wedding, which I'm probably going to be at. And then
You're probably gonna be at?
I'll be there.
Or they're going to be like, excuse me, where is Tolbert? And you're going to find out Tolbert's at the Tar Heel in Jacksonville seeing Guar play.
Or
Or the Wrestling Masters of Ring Entertainment. In, I think it's like, I don't
which
know.
we're missing, and we could have got in for free probably.
I know,
and
no,
had
I would
ringside
have.
seats.
Yeah, we would have. Well, you would have to work with me. I would have been filming the entire event.
Hey, I would have
We can do some backstage
coiled
interviews.
some cables.
Excuse me, sir. Sir,
You're doing that wrong. You're
doing that
wrong. Just sit down.
So best and worst of the week, Mike.
Oh, I didn't actually.
Oh,
we were so lame
right.
on Twitter. I didn't really
Right.
do best of the worst. I mean, I don't know.
We're just
Check
gonna
us
say
out.
it's all the worst.
It's all subpar because Aaron did all of it.
Listen, I had
Wow.
a very
Shots
on
are
air.
fired right now.
I had a
in the
very
$2
interesting
studio.
week. Okay, so I
Talk to us about your.
No. We'll talk about that later. I do really like the tweet that I did about Mike going on vacation, and I had a GIF or GIF of Naito just with his hands crossed.
That was great. That was
That
great.
did actually do pretty well. We had, I forget how many impressions we had, but there was like 10 or 11 engagements on it.
So it was. I said Mike going on vacation and looking at all them mountains and it was a,
Look
a
at all
GIF.
the mountains.
Actually, so the photo I did post of Tumbledown and like saying I haven't watched any wrestling and it's been pretty refreshing. Got 2 likes from
Really?
from people that don't follow us.
I know I saw that. That was kind of weird, but it was kind of cool.
I mean, yeah,
It almost sounded like you were going to break up with us at one
dude,
point.
it's
man.
really easy to just shit talk WWE and get likes.
See, Mike was kind of MIA a little bit this week, and it did feel like Mike was done with the wrestling podcast, and we thought that we were.
Aaron's
There
asking,
was
hey,
also-
hey, y'all watch this match? Y'all watch this? And I'm like, no, I haven't really
There's
done
also
anything.
a severe lack of sassy back talk on the
talk,
group
yeah.
chat.
I know.
all week.
and maybe I don't know if it's because I accidentally and maybe shouldn't have added somebody to our group chat that should be here right now as a
hell
point
is he?
as a part of $2 Steaks live studio audience, Matt Davenport. And Matt, I always forget that Matt doesn't follow wrestling. He follows our podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm like posting all this stuff. I'm like, y'all see what happened on the G1? And Davenport's like, no. And Davenport, like, he'll like send us something that we knew like 3 years ago. It's like, did y'all see
the
that?
Knox County
Did
mayor?
y'all see that Kane ran for mayor?
Yeah, that's what it was. Yes, Davenport. Back in
yeah,
2017.
It's so
yes,
cute,
we
though.
knew.
It's so cute.
We did see that. At some point, Mike is gonna have to bequeath his title of the Greenhorn, and we might have to give it to Davenport. Mike is gonna be a surly veteran by the end of this year.
Surly veteran. He's going to be a smark. You're gonna
Smark.
upgrade
Oh,
him
he
to
already is a
smark.
Yeah, I'm
Smart.
already kind of there on that.
He is a smark, a terrible smark. All right, so for our strong style match of the evening, we went a little bit different this week. I have been loving the G1 climax. It kind of, I wish that America could do something like this, but then again, I know American audiences are not. I don't know if they're ready for a month-and-a-half long tournament of professional wrestling.
I don't think it would translate well over here.
Attention span isn't that long.
But I think the G1, I think that it's fun enough that like it gives you, if you like one wrestler, if you want to follow the G1 for one wrestler, you get to see him and you're introduced to about 15 other wrestlers that he's going to wrestle during the tournament. Like if he's in a block with somebody else that you've never seen, but it introduces you to a bunch of new wrestlers. So this week we have got Jon Moxley against Naito.
Naito. That's how it's pronounced. I'm glad that you told me that because I was going to say
Naito.
Naito is Naito. All right. All right, boys and girls. Welcome to Mind Games 2019. So this match began with Naito slowly unzipping, and here comes the smut part. This part.
Sexily.
He starts slowly unzipping his pants purposefully.
Now the link that I gave you did not do it justice because when I watched it on the app, right?
Yeah.
It takes him 5 extra minutes because he's got an entire like suit on.
Oh, does he really?
And you don't see the first part where he unbuttons like each one
button? Oh,
individually. And the whole time you see Moxley like trying to get him and he's like, no, calm down. Calm down. No, I've got this. I got to take off. Calm down. Naito
Tranquilo.
is such a cool dude, you know?
I like him.
I
man.
love Naito.
I like him. He is literally a troll because what he did is he just slowly took off his pants and just kept baiting him, then eventually just throws him in Moxley's face, and then they just start going at it. Elbows start flying. Moxley gets the upper hand first, but it was Naito who started playing the mind game, so he starts rolling out of the ring. That was pretty funny. That's a little. I like that little spot. So like Moxley's going for him, he rolls out of the ring, and then he comes back in, only to roll out of the ring again. Moxley is like, all right, I'm having enough of this, and he runs after him outside of the ring, and then Naito runs into the ring and does his little pose where he just
he makes you think he's about to do a suicide dive.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he does. Yeah.
He
like
makes you think
run out,
and then he goes and he does his little pose in the ring where he lays down,
he laid
and
on his
points up.
side, points up in the air. He's just like, yeah, I'm just relaxing right now. And then Moxley tries to play his own little mind games where he lays flat on his back. He's just waiting to get pinned. And then Naito just rolls right back out of the ring.
I love Naito. He's got like a swagger about him that maybe you don't see every day with a lot of wrestlers.
Yeah.
And it's a charisma. But it's funny. I don't speak his language, but I speak his professional wrestling psychology language.
Yes. And his body language he tells a good story with his body
Perfect.
language.
He's so good about it.
Yes, he
it's
is.
very universal. And I
Yeah.
think it's because maybe Naito was seasoned a little bit. He was sent to America for a little while, maybe wrestled a little bit in Impact, maybe not the best, but
Yeah.
he learned a little bit from that American style, but then he was sent down to Mexico and wrestled a lot in Mexico, and that's kind of where he got a lot of this style that he has.
Is that where the Tranquilo comes from?
Yes.
Is it
So because
that
he
makes
wrestled, and the name of his group is Los, I can't even pronounce it right, Inglobres.
Ingolabres?
I don't know. Inglobres. I'm not Spanish. So.
Anyway, all right, so the battle moves to the outside. One of them looks like they got thrown into like row 5 at one point. They're just battling outside of the ring, throwing each other into these steel bar barricades. Moxley's getting the best of Naito and following it up with mocking Naito's signature pose by laying on his side and pointing his hand straight up into the air.
Can I say that I love the way New Japan goes out into the crowd?
Yeah.
Because there's something about it, like, you miss a ton of stuff because the cameras don't have a good angle, the lighting's terrible,
Yeah.
but it makes it feel like it was improvised rather than like the WWE stuff that goes into the crowd, and all of a sudden it's like spotlights everywhere, perfect camera angles, and you're like, oh, well, that
Crash
And
pads.
there's not like
crash pads.
no 6 camera cuts.
Yeah,
either.
exactly. It's
so
just
annoying.
2 dudes brawling in the crowd.
Exactly.
And also, that may give you an incentive to buy that ticket to go see him live.
They might step up right beside you. And it's
You're
worth the
seeing
ringside
people.
price.
There's a there was a GIF online. I don't know if it was the Moxley match or not, but there's this Japanese guy getting a selfie of, I think it was Ishii and somebody. And all of a sudden, you see the guy like getting Irish whipped into it right beside him. And the guy just like, you can just see the whiplash of the guy taking the selfie, of just getting nailed by one of the wrestlers. And you can tell he was really happy about it.
Oh, of course.
He's just like thumbs upping, like neck snapping back.
I need physical therapy now. So, Aaron, you got to explain this one part to me. The
All right.
announcer mentioned something about one of them trying to chew someone's eyebrow off at one point.
Well, I mean, like that's Moxley being Moxley. You know, I think
That's what he did to I just forgot his name.
Ishii.
Juice.
And Ishii.
Okay, yeah. That's what Moxley does.
He's a
Moxley's
fighter.
a biter. He's a biter. He's a fighter and a biter. So Moxley, so what they do in this tournament, they give them like a tag match the night before
Yeah.
against each other.
Yeah.
So it's Moxley, usually Moxley and Shooter, the guy that's his young lion
Yeah.
right now. And they have a tag match against Naito and whoever his partner is.
Gotcha.
So the night before, it kind of gives the fans like a preview and an incentive to want to watch the next night's matches.
Gotcha.
And he did some head game stuff the night before.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, next spot is a cool looking chair spot. Moxley puts Naito's leg in a folding chair, and then he gets another chair, and he's going to chair to it. He's going to try and smash Naito's ankle. The referee gets involved, and he basically takes that chair, and he's holding it like it's precious. And then Naito gets up because, of course, Moxley's distracted, and he hits him with a jumping boot.
Yes.
And knocks the chair right into Moxley's face, a.k.a. a Claymore kick. Shout out to Drew McIntyre.
Fuck Drew McIntyre.
Wow. You know what? Now that you say that, did anyone read the article where The Rock said that Drew McIntyre is going to be the next WWE?
Oh, The Rock
big
is
star?
wrong.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Rock, are we gonna talk down about
Is
The
Drew
Rock,
McIntyre
the
going
great
to
one?
stop sucking Shane's dick soon? Or?
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm
Yeah.
so tired of
He's
that.
holding
All
his
right,
purse.
anyways, let's talk about Naito.
Fine, all right, whatever.
This is not a current. Well, this is a current wrestling podcast today. I guess this is a current match.
Yes,
This
it
was
is.
last week.
All right, moving on. Moxley gets seated in the aisleway on a chair, and Naito gets like a 10-yard star. Love this spot. And he just runs basically 10 yards, hits him with a running boot again, knocks him out. Naito throws him back into the ring. He hits his signature move, which is like a running boot into the corner, and then goes for his little springboard stomp like over the ropes. But instead, he hops over the ropes. Moxley's covering up because he doesn't want to get hit by his drop kick.
I love this.
I love this spot. And Moxley's just like, all right, wait, he didn't kick me. Puts his guard down, and then Naito just drop kicks him right in the face.
Oh, it's so good.
Loved it. Moxley goes for a kick to the gut. Naito catches his kick, spits right into his face. What the fuck?
Well, you got to get him.
The
You got to
spinning
get him.
spots always make me cringe a little
I
bit,
do,
and I
man.
know like
I'm the super most mellow
know they're
person,
playing.
but like if somebody spits in my face,
yeah, I know. I'm
dude,
freaking
we're
out.
fighting. We're
yeah,
fighting.
like we're
fighting
literally,
for real.
I'm gonna try to kill you.
Exactly. I know it's planned, but like,
No, it's so gross.
Well, you
I
know.
don't even know if the spit spot. It's probably something like like all right, this guy does that every once in a while, but I don't think it's planned. It's like all right, he might do it, he might not. I know this in the past. You know, this guy's a spitter, and so I don't know, but even. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
Oh my
it's
God.
going to catch him off guard.
Yeah.
It's going to piss
It's
him
mind
off.
games,
You
it's
know,
mind games.
And it's a mind game, and Naito throughout the match is very good about those mind games, and he's trying to get Moxley off his game, trying to make him see red, where it's a way that so Moxley's not going to be thinking about his moves, and he can take advantage of that.
That's true. And it gets me to my next point. Moxley's hot now. He picks up Naito, drives him into the turnbuckle, starts stomping a mud hole in him, and then follows it up with some elbows, picks him up, puts him on the top turnbuckle, and he goes for a butterfly suplex off the top rope. 2 count.
2 count.
Naito sidesteps a knee from Moxley, hits Moxley with a tornado DDT using the top rope for assistance.
Beautiful.
Move. Flawless. 2 count. Elbows back and forth, jabs from Moxley. Naito is down. He hits an enziguri on Moxley. Moxley then starts biting Naito. And then Naito flies off the ropes and hits him with a flying forearm. We're going back to the top rope. Naito hits Moxley with a spike hurricane rana. Drops him literally on his head.
It was nasty.
disgusting.
Nasty. And it even looked like Naito got landed on his neck too, but it looked good.
But like Moxley popped right back up and he poses a bit. Naito does. It goes for a running boot. He gets hit with a spinning lariat that looked disgusting. He knocks out Naito and turns him inside out. 2 count. Naito gets planted with an old school Dirty D's, which looks like basically like a bulldog, and just
What's
drops
that?
him
Yeah, the
down
double
the
arm
head.
DDT now. Oh no, the new one that he does, where he like spikes him forward. Is that what you're talking about?
Where he spikes him forward.
He did a
spikes him
forward DDT on him, yeah.
Yeah, like a forward DDT. That's like the old one that he used to do in the WWE.
Did he do
yeah,
that?
He did, like he started off doing that, and then they were like, "Nah, he can't."
It
do
looks
anymore.
so
He did-
good.
It does look really good. 2 count. I thought that was gonna be the end of the match. Nope. Knee sleeve comes down, and he blasts Naito with a running knee. 2 count. Moxley goes for his Death Rider. Naito counters and starts biting Moxley. Moxley turns around and starts biting Naito. Naito counters some elbows, gets the upper hand, hits his finisher, which I don't even know how to describe it. It looks like a...
It looks pretty cool. I don't know what I forgot what they call it, but
I don't know what they call it either. But 2 count. Moxley counters Naito's attempt again at his finisher. He hits him with his double arm DDT. 2 count. So he puts him away with his Death Rider, spikes him. We gotta win
So
that,
the double
Moxley.
arm DDT, I like how they do that. Where they go that he'll try to soften him up a little bit with that double arm DDT. You know, it's because that's his old school dirty, like his newer. Well, it was like his WWF finisher, right?
Yeah.
And you can tell that maybe that's not that's not going to be the end of it. That's his setup move.
Yeah.
And then his newer one is where he picks him up.
Yeah.
And it's the guy almost goes, perpendicular to the ground.
Yeah, and drops him dead on his head.
And it's awesome.
And it's oh my god, it's beautiful.
So
Every
that's
time.
the Death Rider. And I
And
think
that's
it looks
called
good.
the Death Rider.
Yeah.
Death Rider. Great match. It started off really slow at the beginning, but I'm gonna give it 4 cookies.
4
I like
cookies.
it. I like it. It was a nice, solid match. Told a good story. I'm a fan of Naito now.
I am too, man.
He's the
a
one
wrestler.
that we sent the links of him and Ibushi, right?
Dude, he was the one
Yeah.
that almost killed Ibushi.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah.
I
So
remember
that's
that.
what, and they've had multiple matches like that.
That's
Look
crazy.
them up, man.
Trying to break each other's neck. The
It's
entire
just-
match.
It's crazy. No, like the strong style is like it's legit.
Yeah.
It's so legit. Oh my god, man. It's
So and Naito
intimidating.
also Naito was the one that had a really cool series of matches with Y2J. When Y2J got pulled over to New Japan.
That was him.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
that was
went back
Chris
and
Jericho.
forth with the belt on that one, and Naito beat Jericho. That's why he has the belt at the beginning of the match.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. But he always does the mind games where he spits in people's faces and
It's Tranquilo, man.
Tranquilo.
I love it.
I like it too. I'm a fan. Good match. Good choice.
And so here we go with the high spot of the evening. Now, Tolbert, this is an infamous match.
Which
Is
I've never seen. This is the first time I've seen it.
it is the Great Antonio against Antonio Inoki.
So we got the Battle of the Antonios, the Battle of the Antoines here. Yes, so it's in Japan, right?
Correct.
And so Antonio, the Japanese one, what's his last name again?
Inoki.
Inoki. You were kind of giving me a little rundown about this, and you said that he was responsible for starting a lot of the wrestling in Japan. He was
So
kind of
there-
like a pioneer of Japanese wrestling.
There was a
good.
very big name Japanese guy in the 1950s and 60s.
Mm-hmm.
He had 2 guys under him. One of them was Antonio Inoki. The other one was Giant Baba. They kind of had a clash of psychology styles that they wanted to go. Baba's a huge guy, really tall guy, really lanky. Couldn't wrestle as much of a shooting style. He leaned a little bit more towards an American style of professional wrestling. He splintered off and started All Japan Professional Wrestling, so AJPW.
Yeah.
His style is more King's Road. That is so. Every time I put a professional wrestling match from Japan, it's not necessarily strong style.
Yes.
I like to call it that because it makes it sound cooler. So Antonio Inoki started. He wanted to incorporate more shooting aspects, more fight-based aspects.
Yeah, a little more. He's more of a brawler.
More of a brawler,
Yeah.
more legit-looking style. And he came up with strong style. And strong style, with that, he started New Japan Professional Wrestling, NJPW. So in Japan, there's 2 major promotions, AJPW and NJPW. Inoki is the father of NJPW.
Gotcha. Wow. Well, and he's a good-looking dude too, man. Strong
Strong
chin.
chin.
Strongest
Yeah, that
chin I have
chin,
ever
boy.
seen. Jesus, Woo,
Clean cut,
that's a
man.
strong chin. Yeah, he's a svelte-looking dude. He's in shape. He's a good-looking guy, and you can tell just the presence about him. You can tell he knows what he's doing. His opponent,
Yes. Let's start talking about
Not
the
so
opposite.
much.
Opposite corner.
Great Antonio.
the great Antonio. Not too much great about him. Maybe that
belly.
beard,
The
maybe
belly,
the belly.
It looks like Hillbilly
He
Jim.
looks. I told Varnum he looks like the lost fat almond brother.
It's Greg if he would have survived that Pete's truck.
Oh Jesus! But he's wearing bright yellow. Looks like sweats. But have you ever seen someone in the store like their elastic waistband is like worn out? You know, he's got it folded over. His belly's kind of holding up his sweats. Bright yellow, and he's just got this huge gut. He's got the side folds too. He just looks gross, man. He
I
looks
think-
gross.
I actually
Long
think
hair,
Haystack
big beard.
looked
Ugh.
more
Yeah.
svelte.
Yeah, Haystack
than Great
Calhoun
Antonio.
looks like more in
I
shape.
feel like in Austin Powers, Fat Bastard.
Yeah.
Like this guy looks like Fat Bastard if he let his hair down. Like
Yeah, it's oh man.
So for Halloween, can we get Davenport to dress up as the Great Antonio?
you would
when
need
we're all
like
as
a bowl
wrestling?
cut. Like it's like a bowl cut mullet almost. I
Yeah.
don't even know what it is. It's
Oh.
covering half his face.
Oh,
He
God.
just looks greasy. Anyway, so and one thing I noticed is how small the ring was. A very small ring, man, and a cool looking crowd. You know, big Japanese crowd as usual. They love their wrestling. Starts off with some taunts and stuff. The Great Antonio, the fat gross one, is
Yeah,
Is,
that's accurate.
he's doing like these swats at him. And he's like, "Come here, I'm gonna grab you."
It's like your weird uncle at the cookout, and after a few beers, he wants to wrestle.
And then and Antonio, the Japanese one, and Inoki, is that?
Inoki,
Yeah,
yep.
Inoki. So Inoki is kind of like dodging it, swatting back at him, get him kind of a look. It's like, all right, come on. So they start wrestling, and the Great Antonio, the fat one, the great fat one, is he's not selling shit. He's not selling a goddamn thing. Like, I mean, he's taking some big bumps that,
it's like
Inoki's like swinging off the ropes, flying into
spear,
him, spearing him,
drop kick,
punching
none of
him.
it.
Drop kick.
Nothing.
Not a
Nothing.
goddamn thing.
And at one point, Great Antonio stands in the middle of the ring and he does his belly slap, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just a usual like pat on the belly. It's double fist in the air, slowly slam it on his belly, and it's very exaggerated.
It's like a chicken dance almost. He's like,
yeah, it's wonderful, really.
If we're being honest here.
But
I mean, we all did laugh out loud.
oh
when-
yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah, and
Made for a
it mimicked
great-
it.
Because like in my head, he's
Great
going,
spot.
oh, ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, I'm doing that every scrum I walk up to this season. Scrum down, boys. The whole pack's just gonna start slapping their bellies.
that's our new haka.
Yeah, it's our haka, the fat boy
come on,
haka.
Jake.
It's just Great Antonio haka.
Yeah. So some more no selling. And
Inoki.
Inoki. God damn it.
Just think of gnocchi.
I just woke up and Farnham called me this morning like 11. I was supposed to be over here at 11. Like
Yeah, no shit.
11:15. My phone's ringing.
Think
You
of
up?
think of gnocchi.
Gnocchi, like the delicious potato dumplings.
But instead of do
Inoki. Anyway,
Inoki.
so Inoki, he's getting pissed, man. You start to see the frustration in his face, right?
Because he's not selling.
he's not selling shit. He's like, this fat motherfucker. That's what he's saying with his eyes. And at one point, he gets Inoki against the ropes, and he just starts fucking hammer chopping on him to the
Back of his head.
You're like, God damn it, right? Inoki pops up, instantly gives him a receipt for that.
Well, at that point, you can just see like Inoki's eyes
Yeah.
shift from "we're working a match" to "oh, this motherfucker."
okay,
I'm gonna
yeah,
beat
okay.
your
Oh,
ass.
this
Okay.
motherfucker.
So he gets up and he goes for like one little slap, kind of misses, and then he goes for another just bitch slap right across Great Antonio's face. Says "fuck it, smack." And you kind of see the great fat one kind of jump back like, "Oh, all right." He gives a little blow. At that point, Inoki just slaps the shit out of him again. Goes for like a single leg takedown type
single
deal.
leg takedown, yeah,
it
brings him
it's
down.
Beautiful.
Easy.
Like it is like a textbook takedown.
Yeah.
Takes some single leg MMA style, drops the fat one down to his knees. I mean, he's so fat and round, this takedown just takes him down. He's like, oh, I can't do nothing. At this point, Inoki just kicks him in the face, right? Just straight up punts him in the face. He tries to get up again, another takedown. He's like, get back where you were, boy. At this point, he kicks him in the face and stomps him in the head, like 12 times?
Probably a dozen.
Well,
He
you can see
stomping him.
the moment where Great Antonio also goes Betty by. Like
Yeah,
he
he's
kicks
just
him
out.
one time, and then you could just see, ooh,
Crumbled. Yeah.
There is one kick delivered where it just actually knocks him out.
Yes.
And he
Yeah.
falls.
Yeah, he's
He
out.
goes from being on all fours
Yeah.
to flat on his big old belly.
And then, so once
TKO victory.
once he couldn't get his foot underneath him, he just started
he's
stomping
stomping
him.
his head. Can't kick him in the face no more. Just stomp him on the back.
Oh, God.
At this point, everyone's entourage and everything. Everybody's running in the ring, and I thought it was hilarious that the ref calls it, rings the bell, and then raises his hand. He's like, well, he's the winner. He knocked him out. I guess because it was a DQ. I don't know what was going on.
I don't know what happened either. He wasn't able to answer the.
Yeah, he wasn't able to answer anything. He ain't answering shit.
Jesus Christ.
And he rolls over, man, and he's just bleeding from his forehead.
He looks like he ate a hot dog and got ketchup all over his
And
face.
he can't. Well, the best part is like he's trying to get up, and he's clearly just
He can't.
He's
He's
no idea
grabbing
where he
ropes.
is, what's going on.
He's
stumbling like a
dazed.
fat little guy
But
stumbling around.
you were telling me Inoki's a shooter.
So Inoki he's one of those guys. We were talking about it earlier. If you fucked with Inoki knew
You're
how
gonna get a receipt. Yeah.
how to fuck with you and take it up a level.
So those folks at home that aren't wrestling fans, we talked about shooting earlier. A shooter is someone. I mean, sometimes it just goes real. These guys get mad at each other, and they actually start throwing blows, and that's what shooting is, man.
He's not going to start the fight, but he's going to end it.
Yeah,
sort of.
exactly.
God.
So, yeah, a great match, and like you said, great match.
How many cookies?
I give this 5 cookies all the way, man, all the way. So,
With that said, I would like to hear a haiku
Yeah,
about
haiku.
this.
Let's see.
Or a fat loku if you want to.
a fat loku. Let me see. Where's my notes here? All right, haiku. Don't shoot a shooter. That no-selling motherfuck. You had that coming.
Spot on.
He did.
Spot on.
You can't shoot a shooter.
Don't shoot a
Don't
shooter.
shoot a shooter.
Shooter.
God, he's going to end it. That's what's going to happen. Speaking of ending it, we are going to end this week's podcast. You have been listening to $2 Steak. It is good to have everybody back into the same room again as we talk about professional wrestling. Next Sunday, SummerSlam.
Sorry, Mike.
Are we going to be watching it? Are we watching it in my house?
I'm a maybe on SummerSlam.
What?
I got a bunch of family in town for Elliot's first birthday.
Your family doesn't care about
Does your
you.
family like wrestling?
No.
Sunday.
We've already.
Mike, it's Sunday.
We'll see. We'll
We're-
see.
we might have wangs.
Sunday.
Who's coming, Mike?
If
Oh,
anything,
wangs?
it would be at your house,
That's
not
fine.
here.
Wangs.
All the
wangs?
grandparents and great grandparents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a big deal, man.
Maybe passing
We
the
love
pen over to
Elliot.
Mike's grandma.
Can you bring Elliot?
No.
Pull him away from.
You know, if
from
anything, he would be the anchor that allows me to come.
Oh, good. Elliot, you keep on keeping on, little
Let's
brother.
put your family on the podcast.
No.
No, they don't. Remember, they don't like. Well, no,
don't
your
like
dad likes it. Your dad likes it. Right?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't
you
really
got-
talked to him
Oh,
since we were like
that's
6
right.
episodes
And
in.
why is the family coming?
Elliot's birthday.
Oh,
First
yeah,
birthday.
Big E's.
We just talked. We
Did
just
we?
said.
I
just
didn't catch
mentioned
that.
We literally
Happy,
just said
happy
that.
anniversary, by the way, Mike.
Thank you.
Guys.
I'm so far from being a high right now. In fact, I'm waiting for a text back. Fucking.
Oh God! All right. Anyways,
Buy some t-shirts.
thank you for listening to $2 Steak, a pro wrestling podcast. $2 Bake, a phenomenal home sourdough podcast. We will, and this is going to be your starter for every baking thing. We're just going to pass this along like an Amish friendship bread.
Honest friendship, bro.
Nobody had that. Like my
No.
mom got one of those, and like you have to keep giving the like starter to different people,
No.
and it's like
Aaron,
a
I'm
big.
black, dude.
They don't do that, man.
All right, well,
I've never seen an Amish person in my
I
life.
forgot.
I've seen one once. I've seen
Yeah,
one once.
okay.
Yeah, I
I
was
grew
in
up with a bunch of Amish people around.
All right. Anyways, thank you for listening, and we will we'll hear from you next week.
Follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Mostly Instagram.
Or Twitter.